Hey everybody, Bob here and welcome back to another Making Stuff video. Today I'm going to be reviewing the YesWelder MIG 250 Pro. This is an inverter MIG welder that will weld up to a 1/4 inch mild steel, and the manufacturer also claims that it will MIG weld aluminum without the use of a spool gun, and yes, I'm going to put that to the test later in this video. So this is the YesWelder MIG 250 Pro. It is a 250 amp inverter MIG welder, and it is made by YesWelder. YesWelder is the manufacturer. Now up until now, I've always used Lincoln and Miller welders in all of my projects. So this will be my first chance to get hands-on with a YesWelder. YesWelder has been around for a couple of years now, and they're getting a really good reputation of putting some quality merchandise out there at a really decent price. So I'm really excited to finally get my hands on one of these and actually put it to the test. And I'd also like to point out that YesWelder did send me this welder to review, but I'm not being paid. This review is 100% my honest opinion. And also, if you're thinking about picking one of these up for yourself, there's a link down in the description that will take you over to the YesWelder webpage, where you will get the welder at the absolute lowest price. You won't find it cheaper anywhere else, including Amazon. And also, just for you guys, YesWelder has set up a discount code where you can save an additional 10% off the cost of the welder. Just use the code MAKINGSTUFF at checkout. All right, so let's take a closer look at what comes with the welder in the box. First of all, there is a 10-foot ground clamp, and I really like how heavy duty the end is on this ground clamp. It also comes with a stinger, so if you want to use welding rod, you can use that with this welder. It also comes with a gas hose. Now it does not come with a regulator, so if you don't have a regulator, you'll have to buy one of those as well, but it does come with the appropriate gas hose. And it also comes with the MIG gun. Now this is a really heavy duty MIG gun. I really like how well this is constructed. It's got some really nice strain relief on the end. These are the ball and socket type of strain reliefs, and it has ball and socket on both ends. And I really like that. And then it also comes with a new liner. Now this is a Teflon liner that you have to replace inside of the MIG gun if you want to use aluminum. And yes, we are going to weld some aluminum with this later in the video. And then it also comes with some spare tips, some different types of wheels. There's a U-groove wheel and different sizes, so those wheels are used for the different types of wire and sizes of wire. And it comes with a bunch of spare tips and also a little bit of Teflon tape so you can seal that gas line and make sure that it doesn't leak. All right, so I want to get this set up so I can actually start doing some welding. The first thing I'm going to do is load some wire into it. And I have got here a big spool. I believe this is 11 pounds. It is 11 pounds of the best Harbor Freight mild steel wire that you can buy. It is 030 diameter. So that means the first thing I need to do is check the wheel in here and make sure that it is set to 0.8. I don't know if you can see that, but this is the little groove wheel, and 0.8 is what I would be using for 030 wire. So I'm going to install that in there and then put the little cap back on to hold it in place. So now let's install this big 11-pound spool of wire into the welder. It's not really hard to do at all. You just have to kind of hold it in place with your thumb here while you put all the other parts on. But I don't know any other welder that's any easier than this. All right, so that's on there. I've got some tension on here, not too tight, but enough to keep a bird's nest from forming here. Then I've got the other end of the wire, and I'm just going to feed it right here into the feeder, get it into place, lock it down, and make sure the tension's good, and that is ready to go. So now that the spool is all set up, I need to put power to the machine so I can feed this wire on through everything here. And I do want to point out that this is a 220 machine. It would have been nice to have a 110 plug that you could swap out like my Lincoln welder has got. Of course, you wouldn't be able to get to 250 maximum amps output, but at least you could use it for smaller jobs where 220 is not available. But fortunately for me, I do have 220 out here in the shop, so that's not an issue. Okay, as you can hear and see here on the front, the machine has got power. I fed a little bit of extra wire through here. That's going to make it easier to feed it into the MIG gun cable here. And that's one of the things I like about this. Just out of the box, I haven't even used it. It's this heavy duty connector. It's all in one. There's not extra plugs and cables you have to plug in and unplug to add and remove your MIG gun. It's just all in this one big connector. So I'm going to feed a little bit of the wire in here, plug this in, and that's it. That's all there is to it. This thing is all set up and ready to go because everything is in that one connector. And I've got the MIG torch right here. I just need to get the wire to come out the end, so it has to travel all through the cable and then out through here. And I'm going to do that just by pushing the feed button on the front of the machine. I've got the door open so you can watch everything spin and move. And I did remove the tip from the gun because it's a little bit easier sometimes to get the wire to feed through there without the tip being installed. So now I'm just going to hit that feed button. And there you go, just like that. I've got the wire out. I'm going to install the tip and then the little shield here. Now this machine is ready to go. The only thing left to do now to use this welder and start doing some welding with it is to set all of the settings and modes. So I'll go over that right now. First, you can see there is a mode button, and when I push this button, you can see this column right here changes. And all this is doing is setting the type of gun that I'm going to be using. So you can see here it says M, and it has a picture of the MIG gun. The M stands for manual. It does not stand for MIG. And if I hit this button again, you see it goes to S, and it has a picture of the MIG gun. And the S stands for Synergy. You can see right here it says it's a MIG 250 Pro Synergy. And Synergy, just look at it as a fancy word for automatic. That means that as I adjust this knob to change the current, it will also change the voltage and the wire feed speed. So if I adjust this all the way down to as low as it will go, which is 70, you can see that the voltage dropped to 14.4. So like I said, Synergy is just a fancy word for automatic. Now if I hit the mode button again, you can see that it changes to stick welding mode. And if I hit it one more time, this symbol means reverse arc. So that would be what I would use for aluminum. And I'm going to test some steel to start out. So I'm going to set this to the Synergy mode. Now next is the material. And you can see that's the next column here. And all that's doing is really setting my gas combination, the type of gas, or if I'm going to use flux core or 100% argon. You can see here's 100% CO2, and I'm using a CO2 mix. So I've got that set to CO2 here, or mix rather, CO2 mix. And then the last setting here is your wire size. So I'm going to hit the button here. You can see it'll go from 23 to 35 to 30, and I'm using that awesome high quality Harbor Freight 030 wire. So now I have got everything set right here, ready to go to MIG weld some steel. So I'm all set now and ready to start making some sparks with this YesWelder. And I've got some 11 gauge 2-inch square tube here, and I looked at the chart that came with the welder. I've got the current set at the recommended setting of 180 amps. So let's put the torch to this and see how well it works. So that's not too bad for the first pass. It looks like I may have gone a little too fast right there in the middle, and also I need to turn up the shielding gas a little bit, but that was the very first arc that I made with this machine, and I'm impressed. I've got 3 more sides here, so let me do some adjusting and let's see if I can't get a little bit better weld here on this 11 gauge steel. All right, so I've made a few changes to the machine. I have also upped the gas setting just a little bit. Let's see if I can't get a little bit better weld than I did on that first try. Yeah, that turned out good. That's a lot better than that first one. Let me make a few more adjustments here and let's see if we can't get this thing dialed in. All right, so I think that's the best one so far. And I think I've just about got this thing dialed in. So I'm very, very happy with the results on doing this 11 gauge mild steel. This thing did a pretty good job on that 11 gauge steel. So now let's try something different. Let's switch over and try welding some aluminum. The first thing I need to change out is the drive wheel. It's important to use the correct drive wheel for whatever material it is you're going to weld. And since aluminum is a softer metal, I'm going to use the U-groove wheel. So the grooves on this wheel are U-shaped. You can't really see that on camera, but I know I've got the correct wheel because the measurement starts with U0.9, and that is the size that I need for 0.035 wire. So I'm going to install this into the welder right now. And I'm going to install some high quality Harbor Freight Vulcan MIG wire. It is aluminum and it is 0.035 diameter and 5356. I'm using the 5356 because it is a little bit more rigid and it's going to be easier for the machine to push the wire up through to the MIG gun. And I got that wire installed in the machine and I've got just a little bit hanging out of the front here, and that is because I need to remove the liner from the gun and replace it with that Teflon liner. And that's real easy to do. You just loosen this set screw right here, which I've already done. Then you should be able to just unscrew what's left of the tip right here. And there is the liner that was installed in the machine when I unpacked it from the box. And you actually have to pull this through from the other end. And you do that by loosening this nut right here and then just pulling the liner out like so. It's just that easy. And now that has removed that stock liner that came with the gun. And then all I have to do is insert this Teflon liner back into here. And it's a good idea to have your gun and the cable as straight as possible so there's not any bends. And that'll make this Teflon liner a lot easier to install, which mine is straight. And I will just install this. And now it has come out the other end like so, and I'm assuming I need to trim this because there's no way that the nozzle is going to fit back on there if I don't. So I will just mark about where I think it needs to go and give it a quick trim. Make sure that end isn't squeezed shut. Reinstall the nozzle and it should be ready to go. And now I'm going to feed this wire back through the MIG cable and then hook this back up. And again, that's one of the things I like about this. Just one connector does everything. Now I'm going to turn the machine on and then I'm going to hit the wire feed. And I'll hold this here where you can see it. And I'm going to also open the door so I can make sure I don't get a bird's nest. But I've got the wire feed going, and this should push that aluminum wire all the way through the cable and out the tip of the gun right here. If I did everything right, I won't get a bird's nest. There we go. So this thing is ready to start MIG welding. The only thing left to do now is tell the machine that I am welding aluminum. So I have it set to the synergic setting at the maximum 250 amps. I did change the gas tank over to argon, so it's 100% argon, so I set it to argon 100% aluminum, and then I'm also using 035 wire, so I set the wire diameter to 035. Then there's one other thing I want to point out. It says in the manual that you're supposed to use electrode negative. Now this wire right here goes to the MIG torch, which is your electrode, and it's supposed to be in the negative position, and I have switched it to negative, and this is my ground clamp, and I've got it set to positive. Now this is what it says in the manual, but I've heard from other people that that's not true. But I'm going to go by the manual. I'm going to try out some test beads, see how well it works. If I don't get really good results, then I will switch these, and I'll let you guys know which one works the best. And just like that, I can say with 100% certainty that the manual is wrong. If you see here on the right, the welds wouldn't even stick to the aluminum. It just kind of balled up there on top. So I switched the electrode and the ground clamp and laid down this second bead on the left, and it did a much better job. So yeah, that manual is 100% wrong. So the machine is all set up and ready to start welding some aluminum. I've got some 3/8 inch pieces here. Let's see how well it will do the job. All right, so that doesn't look bad at all. I did have to go back and clean it up a little bit with the wire brush. It is producing a significant amount of soot. I have increased the gas flow, and that doesn't seem to help, so I'm not really sure what's going on there, but that does not look bad for the first pass on some 3/8 aluminum. Okay, now let's try something thinner. I've got some 3mm aluminum here. That's about 1/8 of an inch. Let's see how well it will work with this. So that's not bad at all right there. That's the 3mm aluminum. And for a guy that's never ever MIG welded aluminum before until today, that's a pretty good job, I would say. I think with a little practice, it's only going to get better. So I would say that the YesWelder passes the aluminum test. So what do I think of the YesWelder MIG 250 Pro? Well, I think it's an excellent welder, and it does a great job welding steel and aluminum right out of the box. It even does just as good a job as some of these other name brand welders that I've got that cost twice, even 3 times as much money. And remember, if you want to pick one of these up for yourself, use the link in the description and the discount code Making Stuff at checkout, and you will get it at the absolute lowest price. You won't find it cheaper anywhere else, including Amazon. If you like the video, please give me that big thumbs up. Hit that like button. That lets me know what kinds of videos you guys like to watch. And if you aren't a subscriber, please consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell so you don't miss any upcoming Making Stuff videos. And thanks for watching.